global scale. And so these people are not cheap. They are not, they have results. As a matter of fact, our guest speaker today, just like every other one, have a very, 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 I wanted to use the word intimidating profile, but I would use a very impressive profile. And if I am going to read the profile, it's enough lecture. The profile alone is enough lecture. So rather than share that, I was expecting my co-host to join, but I don't know. I don't know why she's, anyways. So sir, you will permit me to just introduce you, Shoki. You permit me to introduce you in a very brief manner. But before I do that, so today we're looking at lawpreneurship. As a matter of fact, let me also give us a backstory to the topic. You know, we were having a conversation, I was having a conversation, and let me also say this, all our speakers, you know, are people I have one-on-one relationship, personal relationship, and they are very, very, very special, very dear to me, right? And so I even consider it a dishonor to even ask anybody to introduce them, right? I think I qualify best to introduce them, even beyond the profiles that we have with us. So we were having that conversation. I mean, I've known him for many years, even before we eventually had personal relationship, you know. And if you know someone who pays attention to details, this is one man that I can tell you pays attention to details. So who inspired this particular topic? He inspired that particular topic. So I need to state it here categorically that he inspired the topic. Actually, the topic is a registered trademark. So it's something that he has done again and again before. And I said, would it be out of place for him to come and share it on our platform? And he obliged. And so it's my very, very, very great honor and delight to have him on this platform. Before I proceed, let me mention that every Wednesday we have the Bible Sense for Living. So those of us who belong to the community, you know what I'm talking about. So join us on IG live session. So 6 a.m. EST, 11 a.m. West African time, for those of you who will be joining from Nigeria or other West African countries. And then next week, Tuesday, is going to be the last lap in this particular series. And we'll be having Ike Man. I call him the Ike Man. So if you want to take your sales, your sales, you want to put your sales on autopilot, don't miss next week. So, and let me be honest with you, anyone who is going into business, the first skill you must master is your ability to sell, right? It's your ability to sell. And so one of the things we'll be learning next week is how to really automate your sales process and how you can 10x your revenue. And if you can 10x your revenue, then if your business is already doing $10 million, then you can move it to $100 million by some of the lessons we're going to be learning next week. So don't miss next week for any reason. And if you have anyone who is in business, regardless of the industry in which they play, whether they are coaches, consultants, entrepreneurs, real estate moguls, invite them, engineers, you know, doctors, medical doctors, chiropractors, you know, whatever in field. In fact, if they are clergy people also, invite them to join. What we're going to be learning next week is going to be of huge, huge benefit, right? So I strongly recommend that you don't miss it for any reason. Again, we've mentioned it. All these sessions are being recorded, but they're not going to be made available. So there's no replay. So you make sure you maximize all you can maximize while we host this program. All right. And then I've spoken about my book. If you do not yet have it, I recommend you get a copy. If you live and work in Nigeria, there's the copy. With Financial Freedom Master Guide, there's the copy in Nigeria. Call the number 0708-797-0441 to place order and to be delivered to you for free anywhere in Nigeria. If you live or work outside of Nigeria, then this is the copy. You find it on Amazon, so you can place order on Amazon. All right. So That's about that. I've been running a series on Bible Sense for Living, and I did mention during our program that in order for you to get my life plan template, it will be nice you get registered in the community, the Tribe of Wealthy Origin basic. So that's the only requirement to qualify and get my life plan template for free. So you need to be in the community. If you are not there, there's no way we can give it to you. All right. So you also do well to follow us on all our social media platforms at Oladipupo Clement, at Oladipupo Clem on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, and of course our YouTube channel also is Oladipupo Clement. So you'll be glad you did. Every week we always push out content on that platform. So without further ado, our guest speaker today is Mr. Taiwo Akinlami. Now, the profile I have here is a brief profile. And that profile has about 15 paragraphs. So, no, sorry, it's not up to 15 paragraphs. It's about, it's approximately 15 paragraphs. I want to keep it as approximately 15 paragraphs. I know you'll be wondering, why is this guy talking like this? So let me just give you, okay, my co-host is here. I think she will do a better job at introducing Mr. Akinlami because I'll just make jest of myself. So let me respect myself. Mr. Akinlami, permit me to have my co-host introduce you, Stella Uachwe.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Wimbies. It's another amazing segment today, and we have with us Taiwo Akinlami. He's the principal attorney for Gilgal Partners, and I will be reading his brief profile. Taiwo Akinlami is an esteemed public interest and social development legal practitioner. He is the visionary behind the groundbreaking concept, securing a friendly and protective environment for children systems approach, and he serves as its content and intellectual property owner. In Nigeria and throughout Africa, he is widely recognized as the ethicist and arguably Africa's doyen of the field of child safeguarding and protection, as well as family strengthening. His expertise extends to rights-based approach parenting, where he delves into belief system analysis, ethical standards establishment system, policy development, deployment and dissemination, as well as parenting and total family life management. Mr. Akinlami firmly believes in the transformative power of the law as an instrument of social change and engineering. He has said that the law forms the bedrock of civil society, governing all aspects of life. With over 23 years experience, his unwavering commitment to social advocacy and empowerment, as well as family strengthening, has brought the paramount issues of child protection, rights and responsibilities to the forefront of individual and institutional consciousness in Nigeria and arguably across Africa. His efforts have been instrumental in the promulgation of pivotal legislation such as the Children's Rights Act of 2003, the Safeguarding and Protection Policy of Lagos State Government, and numerous other landmark accomplishments. In his personal life, Akinlami is happily married to his supportive wife, Oluwafunmilayo, and their family is blessed with a precious son. With a digital round of applause, please let's make welcome Taiwo Akinlami, the principal attorney of Gilgal Partners. It's so good to have you join us this evening. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you so much. First, let me appreciate Pastor Mr. Dr. Oladipupo Clement. When we speak, I call him Pastor, I call him Mr., I call him Doctor. He's a man of immense experience, immense commitment, a man with a very large heart, and who is committed to making our world a better place than we met it. And so I commend his effort, I commend his industry. You know, somebody now once wrote about him to say that his books are treasures that cannot be, quantified in terms of transformation, lives that have been touched we're working on a project together, and I was saying, who have you touched? By the time he reeled out CVs of people, we now have to choose. There are some other people we work with, we are looking for people. In his own case, we had, people to choose from. And all of those people were gladly, it's one thing for someone to say, oh, this one I am to you. And you now try to reach out to the person. The person now says, oh, I don't, everybody was eager, and that is the fruit of leadership, that you have people who you have touched and who are committed to saying that, yes, this who this man is to me. Ms. Stella, I want to thank you for that brief introduction. Thank you very much. You introduced me with a lot of enthusiasm. Introduced me as if you have always known me. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'm grateful. So let's get into it. How much time do I have, sir?
You have, we'll do 40 minutes and then 20 minutes for Q&A. Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's get into it. I read law, and I was called to the Nigerian bar September 28, 1999. That was when I was called to the bar. And when I was called to the bar, I wrote an article in The Guardian, which was published, I think, the Friday when I was called. And I was saying that this is my perspective concerning the law. My perspective concerning the law is that law is an instrument of social change. And there's no way there can be development in society without the instrumentality of the law. I came to the irresistible conclusion that everything in this life is governed by law. So a few years after I'd left the law school to set up my own law firm, one of the craziest things any human being can do. Nobody does that, only a mad person, because if you want to start your law firm after law school, you must have a father or an uncle or somebody who has promised you briefs. And so maybe he's working in a multinational company, or he has connection in the banks or in the FCMG, or he says, don't worry, just set up something, I'll just be giving you briefs. Now, my father was far away in Ondo. I mean, there was no, I even had the opportunity of working in my uncle's law firm, who was chief garnifying me, and I turned it down, and I said I wanted to set up something for myself. Now, doing that, you have to be creative. You have to ask yourself the question, what exactly can you do to make a difference in a short time? And so I was running this law firm focusing on women and children, and I was also interested in law and small business, because most of the people that I was actually going to attract at that level were small business people who were do not know the relationship between the law and the things that they do. So after doing that for a while, I approached Business Day. I think that was 2010 or thereabout. I approached Business Day, or even earlier than that. I think that was 2004, 2005. I approached Business Day to say I wanted to do a column for the small business session. So I did that column for 4 years. Every week I was writing about the things that, practical things that business people need to know. Now, please note, my writings were not for lawyers. They were for lay people. I'll use lay language, get people to get things done. Now, I did the same column for Daily Independent. I did the same column for the Sun newspaper. For 4 years, we did Daily Independent. We did Business Day, but I fell out with the Sun, because the Sun discovered that it was a syndicated column that I was keeping with Daily Independent. So they wanted me to make it a specialized or exclusive, column for the Sun newspaper, so that it could be said that it only could be read in the Sun newspaper. I said, no, I've been with Daily Independent for a very long time. What do you have on the table for me? You have nothing on the table for me. It's not that you are furnishing any special consideration. So I let go of the Sun and I continued with Daily Independent newspaper. So now one thing is clear in all of this, my experience of working with small business. So later I started an academy called the Lawprenuership Academy. This is what I've come to know. The rich does not take an action without consulting the law. most of the time, or most of the rich. They have personal physicians, they have personal lawyers, you know. Everything looks simple on the face of it until there's a dispute. Please, it's important to note that the people who are in court, they also have documents. The reason why they are in court is that it is document to interpret. What about those who don't have any document? That there's a dispute in court is an evidence that there is something they want the court to interpret. You don't go to the court with an oral agreement. You go to the court with a document. That is what myself and this person has agreed. And at the end of the day, it doesn't turn out that way. Now, if those who have documents still approach the court, how much more those who don't even bother to document things, you know? So big organizations, they have legal department. They don't joke with it. Everything goes through their legal department. Now, let me tell you how big organizations run. And when I'm talking about big organizations, I'm talking about NGOs, I'm talking about churches, I'm talking about companies, all of that. Now, companies have legal department. Then they still farm out their cases to chambers outside the legal department. Sometimes the responsibility of the legal department is to recruit the legal practitioners they are going to work with outside. Because a lot of times, some of the issues they want to deal with are border on special expertise, areas of specialization. So the guy who is the company secretary, or the guy who is the legal secretary, or the guy who is the head of the legal department knows his or her limits. And so maybe the organization has the land matter. They want to reach out to a lawyer who has distinguished himself in the area of land issues. Maybe they want to deal with copyright, intellectual property. They want to contact a lawyer who has done very well for himself and has proven himself in intellectual property. They want to deal with telecoms issues. There's a particular lawyer who has distinguished himself. Every area that I'm mentioning to you, there are lawyers who have distinguished themselves in all of those areas. Now, the problem now is this. Big organizations handle big problems. Small organizations handle small problems. Now, the big organizations know that the big problems they handle can drown them, because the bigger your head, the bigger your headache. So the small issues that small organizations are handling, or medium organizations, or even medium organizations, the problems they are handling are also small, medium problems that can drown them if they don't get it right. So everywhere you stand in the spectrum, you are dealing with issues, and all of these things have legal implications. What I've found is that some people have understood that they can't do anything without talking to their lawyers. They can't do anything without showing it to their lawyers. Now, you follow the story of Mohbad, and that is the problem from time immemorial with documentation, with signing of agreements. Now, King Sunny Ade had his fair share of that kind of experience with Chief Abioro. King Sunny Ade, a rising, young, talented musician, was doing very well, and has signed a contract that signed him into slavery with Chief Abioro. And he continued on that contract, and he became known, became popular, and began to feel that I'm not interested in this contract anymore, because at the time I signed that contract, I was a young boy rising, and this contract has put me into slavery. And so he had to get a lawyer, fought his way in the court. Recently, the estate of Chief Abioro was asked to pay King Sunny Ade over maybe 1.2 billion or 2 billion naira. That is excesses from royalties, from which the estate has garnered from King Sunny Ade. So you find that with Chocolate Records, with this guy, what's the name of this the guy, what's his name? His name just escaped me now. Had a major problem with Chocolate Records. He had a contract with them. These were contracts that people entered when they were not popular. And all of a sudden, things went wrong. And things went wrong. And at the same time, the owner of the record label is Audu. This guy is I just forgot his name now. His name just escaped me. But I had a major problem with them, right? and they had to leave. The same thing Mohbad. Mohbad signed an agreement with Naira Marley, the Malian records. And along the line, these contracts, put him under slavery. And he requested to change his manager. And crisis started from there. And that crisis cost him a whole lot. Now, the unfortunate thing is that when all of these issues are, Brimo, yes, you are correct, Brimo, that's Brimo. Now, when all of these issues have been discussed, we don't go into what exactly happened. How did these people get into the kind of situation they are into? I listened to an interview by Mohbad before he died, and he was saying that, what have you learned from your experience? He said, don't be in a hurry, don't rush. And so this evening, I want to share with you few fundamental principles that you need to take in, you need to take into cognizance in your daily life. It's not even about business. It's about business, it's about life, it's about your interactions and interventions and everything that you do. And for every principle I want to share with you tonight, I'm going to try to give you examples of what, instances where people have neglected these things. Number one principle I want to share with you is the fact that agree that the law rules all things. The law rules all things. Everything in this life, including this conversation, is being ruled by the law. We can't gain entrance into this Zoom until we've fulfilled the condition of using this platform. Do you know that it's so bad that when they say click agreement, if you do not agree, you can't come in? Now, as a matter of fact, the contracts that Google gives to you, Apple gives to you, Zoom gives to you, they are cast in stone. What is your alternative? What they are telling you is that if you can't sign this agreement, go and use another platform. Don't use our platform. They advertise, they brought you to Zoom. They want you to use Google Meet. Now, Zoom has competitors, as Microsoft Teams, as Google Meet, as all of that. Google Meet also knows that they have competition. But for you to use their platform, they do not joke with it. There are agreements to be signed. I think the most important thing is for us to mimic those who are globally successful, those who are globally making a difference. They don't leave anything to chance. If you grant an interview to a newspaper, they want to send the interview to you, they want you to check it, because there's possibility of libel. And when the newspapers are publishing the report, they say these views are exclusively the views of the owner, and it is not our view. We are just a platform. They remove themselves from libel issues. You cannot but understand that everything in this life is governed by law, even marriage, even sex. Sex as intimate as it is between husband and wife, between anybody. Today, a doctor that I know, Dr. Laleye, we've shared platform together. I was speaking for Coca-Cola, he was speaking for Coca-Cola. Very brilliant man. Today, in Nigeria, he was sentenced to life imprisonment, accused of having unlawful carnal knowledge of the cousin of the wife, who is just 15 years old. Everything in this life is governed by the law. Marriage is governed by the law. Even death is governed by the law. Even death. You can't take another person's life. You can't attempt to take your own life. If you attempt to take your own life, you better die. If you do not die, it's an offense. Attempted suicide is an offense. If you don't pull it through, from the moment you are rescued, the police is going to arrest you and say you are trying to take something that does not belong to you, which means your life does not belong to you. So the question is, how many of the things that you do you show to the law? How many of the things do you carry the law along? Because the law is everything. The law rules all things. Now, when in the evolution of society, there was a time it was said that life was butchie, nasty, and short. We were in the state of nature. And now we move from the state of nature to the state of the rule of law. The law rules all things. Now, if I'm visiting you, it is assumed in law that I have a license to visit. I have a license to be received. If for whatever reason you revoke that license, that I should leave, from that moment, I have to leave. If I do not leave, the law says you can use reasonable force to remove me. And you know that there's nothing reasonable in Nigeria. If you are in Nigeria and they want to remove you with reasonable force, you know that you will have lost some maybe arm and a leg. And they say it's a reasonable, the law says will remove you with reasonable force, right? Now, the law says that if I'm visiting you and I say, Mr. Ola Clement, I think I'm done. I don't want to be part of this meeting anymore. If you continue to keep me, you lock your door. The law says that is forced imprisonment. You can't keep me. If you come into my property and I say, please, can you leave? From the moment I revoke that license, that is trespass. Now, the law is expansive. Everything is governed by the law. Every statement you make is governed by the law. Your right to speak is not absolute. From that right to speak, somebody derives the right to sue you for libel, to sue you for slander, to charge you, to request that you be charged to court for sedition. So there's nothing that is absolute. So the question is, whatever you are doing, is it governed by the law? Some of us swear to affidavit. Just go and swear to affidavit. Do you know that when you put your name on affidavit, you have sworn under oath? It's like a president of Nigeria swearing under oath. It's like a judge swearing under oath. If anything you put in the affidavit is found to be untrue, you know that is 7 years imprisonment, perjury. If you are found guilty of perjury. So you don't just swear to affidavit. So number one thing I want you to know is that the law rules all things. And time will fail me to tell you, to give you, to expand on that. So that's number one, keep that in mind. Number two, keep in mind that seal the deal, put it into writing. Seal the deal, put it into writing. Put deals into writing. In my early years in practice, a woman walked into a law firm. And this woman was a widow. I think her husband has left like 4 children. And the husband died. And the woman came to me. At least this story that I want to tell you has happened to 2 people. 2 people that related their briefed us. One of them briefed us. The other one was gisting me about what she went through when the husband died. And so this woman, had come to our law firm and say that her husband died, and that her husband's friend. Now, what happened was that the husband was a retiree, after working for 12 years in the civil service, decided to go for early retirement. And so it was in the federal civil service. And so all his entitlement, gratuity that they gave him, he approached his friend and said he wanted to do business. His friend advised that they should do cashew business. They were going to be exporting cashew out of Nigeria. Then cashew exportation was booming. So what were they going to do? He collected his money, went to collect cash, gave it to the friend, but he confided in the wife and said, my wife, this is what I'm trying to do with my friend. And the next thing was that they did not register a business. If they have registered a business, there will be a link linking him with the man that at least they are partners. The money he gave him, he went to give him cash in the name of friendship. They've rented a cashew, they've rented a warehouse. The man went there and saw the warehouse, came back and told the wife, today we paid for our warehouse. So when they were going to issue receipt, they issued the receipt in the name of his friend. So his friend is the one running stuff. He's the one who knows about the cashew business. He's the one who is the exporter. He's the one who is the farmer. So this guy was just giving him leeway to do everything. Then one day, in the morning, the man was just stooling. The wife said he was trying to change his car's battery. He collected his neighbor's battery to start his car. So he returned the battery to the neighbor and came upstairs and said he was having stomach issues. Between that morning when he woke up and that evening, the man had died. Now, the woman waited for the burial to be completed, was thinking that I have 4 children. Everything my husband has, said he has plowed it into this business. I just wait for the burial rites to be over. So burial rites were over. The woman was waiting for the friend to approach her. The friend never came. So she approached the friend and said, sorry, my late husband informed me about your partnership and all of that. The man said, please, could you come again? I'm not aware what you're talking about. There's no trace. In law and in finance, you say, follow the money. There's no way to follow the money. There's nothing to follow. The man is as if he was doomed. No trace. Everything was done on shaking of hands, gentleman agreement. Because that's what he would do. But this friend messed them up. Right? Messed them up big time. Now, if only they've registered a business together, if only they've opened a joint account, We still put the money in the joint account. And we are both signatories. And there will be next of kin when you are going through all of those processes. The man never did all of that. Very lousy. There's a man in the local assembly that I attend. That man was the man who brought this luxurious bus, which did not turn to BRT, to Lagos. In those early days, when they released some red buses like this and blue buses that had AC, I think at that time, far back many more years ago, they were paying like 50 naira. You will get into it, and it was wonderful. This man ran into serious trouble. Well, I think with the Lagos state government, the contracts and all of that. But when he came to church on the 31st of December to share his testimony, he said he realized that one of the mistakes he made was, number one, he did not document things. Number two, he was not talking to lawyers. Look at the level at which he was doing business. Those vehicles were being imported, I think, from Germany or somewhere. He was the one who brokered that deal. And a man at that level was not talking to lawyers. A man at that level did not have proper documentation. So, seal the deal. Put it into writing. Number three, hold your pen, don't sign yet. Hold your pen, don't sign yet. Don't just sign anything. You know, before you sign a document, do you know that oh, I can't reach my law report here. Now I will show you. In court, the word and, the word shall, the word should, the word and, the word should, the word or. In judgments of the court, they call them words and phrases. Those common conjunctives have been interpreted in court. What is the meaning of and? What is the meaning of or? What is the meaning of should? What is the meaning of shall? What is the meaning of will? What is the meaning of would? As far as you are concerned, is past tense and present tense? No. As far as the law is concerned, do you know that there's English dictionary and there's law dictionary? The most popular law dictionary in the world, I think today, is the Black Law Dictionary. Right? There's English dictionary, there's law dictionary. There are two different things. English is not law. Law is not English. Now, if I say that, if I appear in court and I say that, my Lord, I'm withdrawing from this matter, and the court says, Mr. Akinlami, why are you withdrawing from the matter? I said, my client has not perfected my brief. You are lost. You don't know what I'm saying. It is for the initiated. The client has not perfected my brief. What I'm telling the court is that he has not paid me. And that's why I'm going. He has not perfected my brief. That's the meaning. He said, my Lord, I said, if I'm talking to my colleague, I said, has that man furnished consideration? You are going to say, you are in my office, and I walk in, and my colleague asked me to see you. I said, sorry, I see furnished consideration. He said, he has not furnished consideration, sir. I just walk into my office. I'll just not see you. What does it mean to furnish consideration? Have you paid? Have you paid? That's what it means to furnish consideration. So you don't just sign documents. You know what happens to people is that people who are close to you, for example, your secretary, all of those people, they know when you are tired. They know that it is your custom not to read stuff before you put your signature. You just put your signature. As you have put your signature like this, you have put your signature into trouble. You have put your signature to giving away your company. And people who know that that's how you operate, they're going to bring documents to you. Man, I don't just sign anything. I just try to read through. And please note, nobody can ask me to sign anything in a hurry. No. I don't do now things. I don't. No matter what is happening, heaven will not fall. I don't do. Now, the secret of meticulousness is to be patient. That's the secret of being meticulous. You can't be meticulous and be in a hurry. The book that I read that says, he that hastineth with his feet sinneth. If you are hasty with your feet, you will sin. So to say no. The other day, my wife and I went to see a movie in Silverbird Galleria. So one guy approached us and said, Mr. Akinlami, do you want to buy land in Dubai? They persuaded us. They took us to. We drove. We now went to one place in Parkview Estate. As we got there, we saw people. They were doing all stuff. They're doing all kinds of things. So they said, no, it has to happen now. There's a bonanza now. There's a one that is going on now. I said, love, me, I want to leave this place now. I said, love, anything, no. We have to make deposit now. It has to be now. I said, it can't be now. Because there's mechanism through which we check every decision we want to take. This one is not going to go through it. Let it be the biggest opportunity in this world I don't want. Please, I don't know if you have followed the story of Warren Buffett. Because Warren Buffett had the opportunity of holding the largest share in Microsoft. When Bill Gates approached him when they were starting Microsoft, I think he only invested 3%. And so they asked him many years after, so why do you have any regrets that you did not invest? You could be the owner of Microsoft today. He said, I have no regrets because I did not understand it. I cannot, that is my principle of investment. I cannot put my money into a process I do not understand. I don't know how it works. When Bill Gates explained it to me, it was too clumsy for me to understand. He now made a statement, which is the real lesson for me. He said, do you know how many investments that I've rejected that did not turn out well? He said, so if I put my money in every investment, I won't be Warren Buffett. I will have lost. So that I did not put money in Bill Gates, there are so many others also. Bill Gates is just one of them that turned out well. There are so many others that did not turn out well. We have to have protocol of making decisions. We can't just sign anything. You have to have someone you can show it to. I'm a man of protocol in this my life. Generally, there are processes through which I take decisions. There's a gentleman, that I've worked with on a project. A dear mentor introduced him. He wanted to do another project, and he was trying to talk to me about it, and I was trying to insist on some things. And he concluded that I didn't want to do that project with him. But if he is also a man of protocol, there's a way through which you came to me the first time. You didn't come to me yourself. Somebody contacted you for me, contacted me for you. So if for whatever reason you want to do something with me now, and you are experiencing some itches, what are you supposed to do? You go, if you are not experiencing any itches with me, you don't need to go back to that person, right? But if you're experiencing some itches, for you, before you give up, you go back to that person to say, sir, this person that you introduced to me, I'm experiencing some itches with him. Can you intervene? Life is about protocol. Now, so there's protocol of doing business. So the number one thing is that the law rules on everything. Have it at the back of your mind. Number two is the fact that seal the deal, put it into writing. Number three is that hold your pen, don't sign yet. Don't sign yet. People have signed their lives. Mohbad signed his life. King Sunny Ade, but for the intervention of Chief Gani Fahimi, because Chief Gani Fahimi was King Sunny Ade's lawyer. And I think the court just banned him for 6 months to say he should, he did an album before that court. He said, Biwaju lolo kon wa mi lo, beyin ko lolo kon wa mi lo mi o mo. That was when he was in court with Abioro. Abioro was massive. Abioro was big. Abioro was everything. Are you getting it? I'm fighting this young boy. And the boy just saw the light and said he wasn't going to go under that contract again. Unfortunately, he has signed. Don't sign under pressure. Don't sign. And I still spoke with Mr. Lawprenuership today. He said, the person that loses out on a deal is the person who is not ready to leave the table without a deal. If you are not ready to leave the table without a deal, then you must be ready to lose. Number 4, don't stand shorty for a stranger. Don't stand shorty for a stranger. Don't stand shorty for a stranger. All these things they say, come and be my referee, it begins from there. Come and be referee to a bank account. Just come and be my referee. You don't know the person before. You know what the person does. You don't know, it's just your neighbor. Please note, neighbor is not friendship. Neighbor does not mean compatibility of value. Neighbor does not mean compatibility of value. It's your neighbor. That you see yourself regularly in a place that you come together every time does not mean the person is your person. Who is a stranger? Mr. Lawprenuership says a stranger is someone you cannot vouch for. It may be your mother, may be your father, may be your uncle, may be your brother, may be your friend, it may be your partner. Once you cannot vouch for the person, No, the other day I was in the police station with my client. And my client is an elderly woman, 63 years old. And she has been accused of child trafficking. And is the sister of somebody very dear to me. So I was with the police, they were dragging it. So at a point, I said, you know what? Because the commitment of the police is to get that woman to sleep in the police station that night. We're in Panti. So at the point, I said, you know what? I'm going to stand shorty for her. They said, why do you want to stand shorty for her? You can't stand shorty for her, you're a lawyer. I said, where is it written? I'm the one dropping my gap of a lawyer to say I want to stand shorty for her. There's nothing in my practice that says I shouldn't stand shorty. Worst case, when she runs away, you put me behind the counter, right? And I said, I'm aware of that. So I'm standing shorty. So I stood shorty for her. Police was not happy. Police said, okay, can you produce your certificate? I don't carry my certificate around. They said, okay, that was at about 5 o'clock. I should go and bring my certificate. What I want to bring out from there is that. So I ended up standing shorty for that woman because the family is well known to me. I'm ready to put my life on the line. So as I stood shorty, police now said the core person that was charged with her, they now said, sir, since I stood shorty for this one, also stand shorty for this one. I said, I'm not going to stand shorty for that one. You know, police is very tricky. They are the one that will tell that woman to run away. You know, me saying I want to stand shorty for that my client, bust their bubble that day, reduce the money they were going to get. Because what they wanted to do was to use the woman to bargain. When the woman could not get shorty, they will now say, madam, it's 7 o'clock. Oh, this is how you're entering the counter. I'll go and be 200,000. So since I post that bubble, they wanted to deal with me. That's what they wanted to do. So they now said I should come and stand shorty for another person that I did not know. So I said, no, I can't stand shorty for this woman. He said, Mr. Akinlami, we are the ones now saying it. Since you have stood shorty for this other woman, then don't let it be discriminatory. I think I want to, you said that you guys go to the same church. I said, I see this woman in the church. I don't know how I cannot stand shorty for her. You know, police, what they were going to do if I stood shorty for that woman, they will tell the woman that if you come to this police station again, we will kill you. The woman will run away. I'll be sleeping in my house, they will just come and knock my door and say, the woman you stood shorty for cannot be found. I say, but one of them can be found. I say, one can be found, the other one cannot be found. There's a gentleman who stood shorty for a guy. This man was in Abuja. This guy disappeared. They're supposed to be childhood friends. Now they tormented this guy. He was in Abuja. I got a lawyer for him in Abuja. There was nothing we did not do. Ultimately, this guy's father is a retired soldier. The guy had to come to Lagos to come and recruit soldiers. They now got this guy arrested. He was the one who funded the airplane, the flight that took the soldiers and this guy back to Abuja. This man spent nothing less than, I forgot how much million he spent trying to exonerate himself because he has gone to stand shorty for a man who is an old friend. Never trust an old friend. You don't stand shorty for anybody except you can vouch for the person, except you know the person. Shorty means I'm taking the place of this person. If anything goes wrong, do to me everything you will have done to him. If it is to send him to jail, I'm the one that is going to go to jail. If it is to take his property, it is my property you are going to take. Whatever you want to do, it's just me. I've shared 4 principles. Let me share the last one because of our time. The last principle I want to share with you is that nothing is yours except the Lord says it is yours. Nothing is yours except the Lord says it is yours. Nothing is yours except the Lord says it is yours. So before you own anything, you want to ask the question, how does the Lord say we should own it? You can't have a child except the way the Lord says you should have it. How do you have a child? According to how the Lord says you have it, biological birth, adoption, fostering, guardianship, right? Those are the ways the Lord says you should have children. If you kidnap a child, if you buy a child, you don't have a child. You have broken the law. The same child that I'm carrying is the same child that you are carrying. But as far as in my own case, I adopted the child. In your own case, you stole the child. Both of us are carrying children, but in the eye of the law, one of us is lawful, another one is unlawful. You don't own a name except the Lord says you own it. A gentleman sent me a message yesterday. We are now very close. I mean, I met him through crisis. And this is the way it worked. I went to speak in a place I was speaking about this subject matter. I was speaking from a man known as Dr. S.I. Makiwa. He has a church in Egbeda area. I was speaking for him, and there was this gentleman in that congregation who came to meet me and said, I love everything you have said here. I want to register my business. I said, okay, let's talk later. So I didn't see him again. You know, he's a big man now, you know. I'm thinking about like 15 years ago. So I didn't see him again. One day he just called me from nowhere. He said, sir, my business is doing well now. I just won a contract with Sheraton Hotel to install their dishes. That time, you know, DSTV dishes, all these dishes were raining that time. I just won a big contract to install dishes, you know, in Lagos and some other places. I said, thank God. I said, but sir, there's a problem. I said, what's the problem? He said, the name I used to write the proposal, I didn't register it. I'm here to register it. I said, that's not a problem. Let's quickly do search. We can do expedited. We'll just quickly search the name. Once the name is available, we just quickly register. We do expedited. In one day, we can bring out certificate. He said, okay, that will be fine. We searched the name was not available. The name was taken. The beginning of number one crisis. Sheraton had expected that a company at its level who wrote a proposal would have had all the necessary documents. Now, normally a vendor should bring all of those things before they're allowed to do business. But somehow, the procurement did not ask him for all of those things, and they just gave him an LPO. So now the challenge is he needs to fulfill that LPO within 30 days. When they are going to pay to that company that does not exist. So that was where quandary started from. So I said, okay, you know what you do? Go back to Sheraton. Explain to them, but what is the explanation? So he went back to the procurement manager. The procurement manager said, okay, by the way, how come I didn't ask for your certificate in the first instance? Where is your certificate? It's not rambling, my brother, ladies and gentlemen, he lost that contract. But that man learned a big lesson from there. That was his rising, just coming up. It was understandable. But when I spoke in Dr. S.I. Makiwa's church, he came to meet me and said, I need to do this thing. And maybe he didn't have the money, maybe he didn't have the resources, maybe he was still thinking it was unnecessary. He continued to use the name. In the day of adversity, the Lord showed him that it's not your name. I'm the only one that can confer a name on you. You don't own a trademark. You don't love a name and say it's your name. I've worked with Pastor Clement. All his names are trademarked. It can be expensive. There's no name that I'm using that is not trademarked. It's sometimes expensive. Books that we write, we still collect copyright commission certificates. Why do we need to collect copyright commission certificate? Let me tell you the story of Alexander Graham Bell. Alexander Graham Bell was not the first person to invent the telephony technology. He was not the first person. As a matter of fact, there's another gentleman who had invented it. But Alexander Graham Bell was the first person to register. I think the other man was late by 2 hours to get to the patent office in the US. 2 hours. Then the man took Alexander Bell to court, and they fought the matter to the Supreme Court of the United States of America. And the court concluded that because he was the first person to register it, he was the owner. Look at that lifetime. That man can never recover from that guilt. It's going to take another kind of human being to recover from that kind of guilt. That I have this thing. Unfortunately for him, he must have thought he was the only one working on the technology. For everything you are working on, I'm working on something now. And just yesterday, I was thinking that what gives me the impression that I'm the only one working on this thing? Other people might be working on it. So why do you have an idea? No, Alexander Graham Bell is what I'm talking about. Alexander Graham Bell, Thomas Edison's case is different. Alexander Graham Bell is the accepted inventor of the telephone, right? So, but he's not the first person, but he was the first to register. The point I'm trying to make is that nothing is yours except the Lord says it's yours, including your wife, including your spouse. Nothing is yours except the Lord says it is yours. Because every relationship has legal implication. Living lovers has legal implication. Married woman or married man has legal implication. Children have legal implication. Workers' relationship has legal implication. And face situations where people have trained staff without letter of employment, and the person just walks away. And they are saying, hey, he walked away. I say, okay, where is your contract? I say, it was my close bosom friend that brought him up. And I just felt he's a gentleman. I said, so there's no letter of employment. This relationship is not defined by the law. There's no terms of reference to the relationship. So nothing is yours except the law says it's yours. A company came from outside Nigeria to come and establish something. But a smart Alec in Port Harcourt has seen that name and trademarked the name. So they came into Nigeria, they wanted to start this company. They went to trademark registry, it was not available. And when it was not available, they started searching, who has it? They reached out to the man. The man said, give me, was asking for the one ridiculous amount. But, that's what people do, right? They buy web address. If they find a web address that is popular, they go and check, you have not bought it, they buy web address. They trademark something. Somebody has gone to trademark something about football in Nigeria. He knew a day is coming. He went to trademark, he just kept it there. He wasn't using it for anything. The day it was needed. Now, please note, when it comes to the law, it's not about who discovered it. It's about who registered it. When you say he stole my intellectual property, nobody can steal something that the law does not say is your own. It's not your own, except the law says it's your own. How does somebody now to steal something from you is to dispossess you of what you own? That you are using a name, you are using a trademark, you have invented something that you don't register with the law. It's not your own. How do we know it's your own? How do you know you are the one who invented it? Is your word against the word? It can't. The law does not operate that way. It can't be your word against the word. It has to be your word against the law. It has to be what the law says and what you are saying. And in law, myself and Mr. Clement work on a project. It's about evidence. Evidence of. Whatever you don't have evidence for is not worth saying in this world. That is my training as a lawyer. Whatever you don't have evidence for is my wife, wedding certificate. We are no more together, divorce certificate. Is my property, certificate, deed of assignment, C of O, governor's consent. Is my trademark, where is the trademark certificate? Is my company, where is the CAC certificate? I'm part of the board. You are part of the board that they didn't take your name to CAC. You are not part of the board. You are not on any board that they say you are just there. And you are not saying, please, if I'm on this board, can you take my name to CAC? Because a king can come to know that does not know Joseph. I will tell you, you are not on the board. You are not on board because you are doing Egbe Joda. You are just together, just going together. We are together, but you are not on the board. You are not on the board of a business. You are not a shareholder because your friend says you are a shareholder. You want to see the shareholding structure of the company. You want to see your name with CAC so that if anything happens, you don't need to be in the good book of your friend. Do you know if you own a share in a company, nobody can take that share from you except you relinquish the share. CAC has inundated cases of shareholders who have sued CAC because, the way people form companies in Nigeria. My brother, my friend, I just call him. I said, I want to start business, so I'll give you 10% in the business. It's an equity, but I quantify it with money and say that 10% is so. I don't even need to quantify, I just say 10%. Me and you are not on good note again. I just feel that you didn't bring anything. It was just because of our friendship. Then I'll go and remove your name from CAC. Then when I remove your name, mean that you gave 10% because the company has ballooned, I will sue you to say you gave me 10%. You can't say you did not give me 10%. You gave me 10%. We went to CAC. I signed. You signed. And now, because we are no more together, you went to remove my name. Now I've taken you and CAC to court. The court is going to end up awarding that share to me. Now the company is massive, it's big, it's doing billions. 10% is what I need. That's why you also have to be careful the way you dash out shares to people. I just give it's my friend, oh, I give you 5%, I give you. What does 10% mean to me? You just give people, and that's how we do company. Most people do companies in Nigeria, entrepreneurs. Just say, my friend. Somebody can be your director without being a shareholder. You have to be bold from the beginning to say, my friend, we are just starting. What I can make, I need you to come here and think with me. If our friendship does not cover that, well, it's okay. And if in your heart of heart you believe that the person deserves that 10%, give the person the 10%. But note, this 10% can be 10 billion tomorrow, can be 5 billion tomorrow. It can be that 1% can be 1 billion tomorrow. Are you getting it? So basically, those are the things I think I should share with you. There's, I have over 24 principles that I can share with you, right? But, because of the time that I spend the whole day doing Lawprenuership, discussing these things, with manuals, with all of that. That is the much I think I should share with you this evening. But there's one thing that I need to let you know, that ultimately in this life, there are principles that govern the affairs of this world. Those who win in business, because we're in win biz, those who win in this life, are those who have submitted themselves to principles and protocols. They reduce their error rates by almost 99%. That's the truth. Is it because we are not called to do this life alone? And when God was going to make everything in this world, let there be light, let there be this. When he wanted to make man, he said, let us make. We are a being of community. Our creation is let us. It isn't let there be man. Let us. Right? Let us. That is our creation. Therefore, you can't do life alone. Therefore, you must find out, who am I called to do this life with? How do I penetrate these people? How do I reach these people? What does the law say about my relationships today? What does the law say about my relationships today? If the law has to take a look at my business right now, what will be the assessment of the law from the property I'm using, to the car that I'm driving, to the property in my office? Do you know that you can insure anything? You can insure anything. You can hedge, you can wedge your loss through insurance. Insurance is an investment, is a whole lot. Do you know that is existing? You don't have to carry the burden alone. And when something goes wrong, you don't have to be lost because somebody is sharing the burden with you. So understand these principles, ladies and gentlemen, that to win in life, you must be a slave of protocols and principles. When God says, have dominion, what God is talking about is that submit yourself to the universal principles that he has created to govern the affairs of this world. Law is just one of them. God bless
you. Wow.
Incredible. Stella, over to you.
Wow, can we give our facilitator tonight a round of applause? That was very, 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 very insightful. In fact, from the comment section, wow, I'm loving this session. Very practical. I can see this is powerful. My best session yet. Wow. Yeah. I mean, this is so insightful. I'm not sure I can recover from it. And I like the fact that it was principles that we need for living, not just for business. So whether you're a business person or not, these are principles that we would need In the comment section, we have a quick recap. For those who are just joining us, welcome to WinBiz. You're not too late. We'll just do a quick recap. 5 principles were shared, fundamental principles to take into cognizance in your everyday living. The law governs everything, number 1. Number 2, seal the deal, put it into writing. Number 3, hold your pen, don't sign yet. Number 4, do not stand shorty for a stranger. And a stranger is someone whose integrity you cannot vouch for. And then number 5, nothing is yours except the law says that it is yours. Thank you so much, Mr. Taiwo Akinlami. We really appreciate all of this. So if we have questions, please let's put our questions in the chat box. And importantly, he mentioned in closing or conclusively that those who win in life are those who have submitted to principles and protocols. So if things are not working well for you, you need to identify the principles you're breaking and the protocols that you might be missing. And we cannot give you all of the gist because, interestingly, for every of the points, there were practical and insightful examples that were shared with us, real life scenarios and not just theories. So find a way to listen to this session again. Let me welcome our convener. I don't know if our convener has something to say about this session while we wait for questions in the chat box. The accolades.
Let's just take the questions. No, if there are 24 points or 25 points and only 5 is what we have gathered like this, I wonder what is left that we're missing.
Yeah, someone says, please, can we get a book that comprises all of this information shared? So, sir, if you have a book, please tell us how to get it.
So I'm revamping my Lawprenuership. You know, the way life has worked for me is that, you know, at some point I shut down some things, and I had 2 audio programs. Number 1 is seal the deal, put it into writing. Number 2 is hold your pen, don't sign yet. I dealt extensively with those 2 subject matters in those 2 CDs, you know, just addressing each of those and giving examples, principles. What is, for example, I'm talking about what is the spirit of a document. The document has 2 spirits. 1, the spirit of those who drafted the document, and the spirit of the document itself. That when the spirit of those who drafted the document fail, when their spirits fail, the document itself continues to exist and insist on its own spirit being alive. That is why those who wrote the Bible, they are not alive. But we still we go and find one. They wrote it as far as it was supposed to be lost. They'll go and find one manuscript inside one cave. They'll find something somewhere. The most important thing is that every document has its own spirit, independent of those who drafted it. And that is the power of documents. You don't, you know, I've kept journals all my life. You know, now I want to arrange all my journals, you know, trying to build a museum of journals. I've kept journals all my life. Things are fresh in my memory because I write them down. So there's a spirit of those who do the document. There's a spirit of the document itself, which has its own integrity, which can fight its own battle, even when those who drafted it have died. Are you getting it? Now, there's a documentary I watched. They say, a message from the grave. Now, what they are saying in that documentary is that those who are killed, they always leave traces for how you can trace those who killed them, if you can just follow the trail of their life and the events, you know, of their lives. So those two what do you call it? Those two CDs, they're not available now, but I think we are trying to put them on Stellar. You know, when we do that, we'll let you know.
Thank you very much. So we can't wait to, you know, feed on your products and your services. So while we're waiting for the questions to come in, what is the best way to connect with you, sir? You might want to share that with us if you have a social media platform where you're very active on, or the best way, a number, an email, company email, whichever it is.
So you can reach me on Taiwo Akinlami Returns on Instagram, at Taiwo Akinlami on X, that's Twitter, Taiwo Akinlami on LinkedIn, and I'm on Thread, Taiwo Akinlami. I've not been adventurous enough to be on TikTok.
Or Facebook.
I'm on Facebook, Taiwo Akinlami on Facebook. You can send me an email, principal@gilgalpartners.com. Principal@gilgalpartners.com. Principal, as a principal of a school, at gilgalpartners.com. That's my address. Now you can chat with me on WhatsApp only, 234-0833620843. 234-080. I'm trying to remove that first zero.
Yeah.
080-33620843. That's WhatsApp chat only.
Great.
Awesome.
4-3. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It looks like everyone learns and they're still trying to, enjoy and digest all the principles that you've shared with us, because I think it was really a lot, and there are things that people really take for granted, particularly the registration of business. So if you've been in Wimbiz and your business is not registered, you are in the wrong. I mean, you should really reach out to him at principal, and the email has been shared, principal@gilgalpartners.com, to register your business. If you have an idea, an intellectual property, you need to copyright it, you need to trademark it. Please don't, you see that the inventor of telephone was 2 hours late. Please don't let the next 24 hours pass you by. You need to do it hurriedly, like as fast as you can. And if you still have questions, please, you can drop it. But now I'd like our convener to speak to us.
Let me also quickly drop this. Let me drop this. So I was working with Pastor Clement on a project. There are other people we try to work with on this project. So when we get to the point of your intellectual property, it is that time they want to go rush and register. The financial burden is too heavy on them, because they want to they have 10 names that they are using, and they want to do everything at the same time. But when I was doing my trademark, register one today, register, as the names were calling to me. So by the time I was going to need my trademark, I didn't need to be running around. And it's more plausible to the adjudicator, in my case, to see that this man registered this thing 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 10 years ago. So he wasn't doing it because of this situation. Now, Mr. Clement also did something, cut the press. And that's another thing, is not a law issue, but you need to be in the media. He was also in the media. So by the time we were doing that project, his media were available. And so also my first article came out in the newspaper in June 10, 1988. I was 18 years old when my first article came out. Since then, I've not stopped writing. I had legions to refer to. Early in life, I've come to understand that, and I got that inspiration from my uncle, Chiganifemi. I always saw him in the newspaper. So that you can't do anything in the dark. You have to be out there. There's a woman we are working with, Pastor Clement knows her. She said that this interview, they've been begging me, come on. I said, I'm a private person. I don't do interview. If only I knew that one day is coming, this interview that I'm going to be paying for this interview now. Because in the US, for example, if you want to, you can be on any platform as long as you are ready to pay for it. You can be on CNN tomorrow. Once you have a product, you have a service, and it is good, they can put you on that platform. Now, but it is sad that you are looking for that platform when you now need it. Right? Meanwhile, you could have been building your profile, because this same CNN, they interview people without collecting money from them because of the strength of their work. Now, you are the one now asking for the interview, right? Because of the fact that you have not done what you are supposed to do when you were supposed to do it. And the unfortunate thing again is that the thing is now fresh. It's fresh. It's telling somebody that it is because you want to do this process that you are doing this thing that you are not doing. So I want to charge you, cut the press. Let the press know what you are doing. Issue press release. Press release is not anybody's anybody's birthright. Issue press release, send it out, send it to newspaper. They may publish, they may not publish. If you keep sending it, one day they will publish. Right? Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you very much for that, sir. Please, over to our convener. Let's celebrate our convener for giving us quality content. Thank him for helping us leverage his relationship. Over to you, sir.
There are still a few more questions, and I think it would be nice we take them.
Okay, we have one from...
What more can I add to what has been the deluge? What more can I add?
Okay.
Go on, please, Stella.
So Marvelous Alabi has a question. He says, how can a new business who can't afford a lawyer like you still do the needful regarding legal issues? What advice would you give a startup?
Okay. There are 3 pieces of advice I have for a startup. Number 1, there's no such thing as not being able to afford anything. It is a matter of what you consider to be of necessity, right? If something is of necessity, you may not use a lawyer like me. You will find your own lawyer. Are you getting it? You know, because you don't have to use me, right? You don't have to use me, but you can use, you can, if you make it a point of duty. If you worship in a church, there will be one lawyer somewhere you can say, bros, I beg you, let me look at this thing. I'm just coming up. Who can say, okay, I mean, I've lost count of how many people who come to us like that to say, please, can you? And we know that they're just coming up. You know, what can we really do for them, right? When it comes, for me, if you call me to register business for you now, it's not a business breakthrough for me. How much is in business registration for me, right? But we still do it because we just you know, encourage people in our law firm to say, okay, you can just take that, handle it. Are you getting? Because, but that same business that I want to register for you for maybe 100,000, 200,000, you know, at another level, I can charge much more for it. If I register NGO for you and register NGO for somebody up there, you know, the cost and the charges are different. So for me, the first thing we need to settle, don't let's do that cost. The first thing we need to settle, is it a necessity like breath? Is it a necessity? When you recognize to be a necessity, there will always be a way. There will always be a way, right? That's number 1. Number 2, you can also invest in do it yourself. Now, this is the thing about do it yourself. Any do it yourself program that you buy, they will put disclaimer there to say that this thing you have bought does not remove the need for you to still consult a lawyer. You know why they put it there? Some people have used the do it yourself, they run into trouble. They've sued the company. The company has now wising up. That must have happened like 100 years ago, or 50 years ago. Somebody has put the service there like that to say, do it yourself. Somebody has gone to buy it. Do you know in law, there's a case, Khalil and Kabolik smoke ball. Do you know what happened in that case? A company put out an advert that if you use this our product and you have influenza, you can claim money. So somebody now said he has used the product and he has influenza. So they now sued them. They now said no, that they made that promise to the world. So the court now said no. There's a difference between making an offer to the world. They said that that's what they call unilateral offer. That offer, when you made it, you didn't make it to anybody, but you made it to anybody who fulfilled the condition. I get it. That's how, you know, that person won. And let me tell you a very funny one. A man went to Unilag and said, this training that I've come to tell you, Unilag student, if it does not work for you, money back guarantee, went to test students, undergraduates. So he did the training, they paid maybe 500, 1,000, he left. One day he came to do something in Unilag. That's how they saw him. The student heard him ransom. He called me from Unilag. He said, Mr. Akinlami, I want to move me. Money, which police? They no, these students. They say, I promise, but these students are looking for Gary to drink. They don't. Once we enter that campus that day, they say, finally, well, how are you going to prove that it did not work? Are you getting it? So that's on the lighter mode. So what I'm going to say to you is that there's always a lawyer you can afford. I think the first thing we need to agree is that, is it a necessity? once you accept it as a necessity, where there's a will, there's a way. And that does not mean we cannot still talk. We can talk to you. Are you getting it? Because you're on this platform, you are part of this platform, we can talk to you. We can even still do 2 or 3 minutes of counsel to you to say, okay, do it this way. You can ask specific questions even after. If you send me a message by WhatsApp, I can always respond to you to say, okay, if you're asking specific questions concerning issues that you are dealing with right now, I can always do that. But note, make it a point of duty.
Can I quickly add something to this, Mr. Akinlami?
Yes, sir.
There is, in life and in business, there is always the cost of getting certain things done. And there's also the cost of not doing it. Most of the time, we're able to calculate the cost of doing it, the cost of getting it done. But the cost of not doing it is incalculable. And that is one thing I've come to realize, having been in business and having been, in the marketplace for well over 23 years now. So I can tell you for fact, for free, what you think. And that's why I love the fact that is it a necessity. And so it's a necessity from what we have even learned. Please don't joke with it. And then let's follow those piece of advice. Stella, there was something you skipped. The first question he asked. Marvelous asked. He said many flaws in
the legal system in Nigeria because of the level of corruption. Just like you shared about your encounter with the police, how can one play safe while abiding with the law, and how to truly get justice when life or business challenges happen?
Well, everywhere in the world, there are challenges. There's challenge in America, there's challenge in the UK. Nigerian legal system does not work. People say, and there's a lot of truth about that, there's a lot. But would you rather not protect yourself because you say that I won't register my trademark because the law does not work? The law still works at that level. Except the person who steals your wristwatch is a senator. Who steals your trademark, is a senator, or the person wants to buy you. So what we are talking about here, don't let us generalize. Why I understand your question. Nigeria is a big bundle of mess, right? There's a lot going on there. And we cannot, somebody, was saying today that when his wife gained admission to Canada to study, the Canadian dollar was 205 or 206 to 1 naira, was 206 naira to Canadian dollar. It's now 900 and something. As of today, I think 1 naira to $1 is changing for how much? When I started the project in the US 2019, I was using $900,000 to buy $2,000. For me to buy $2,000 today is above 2 million within how many years? 3 years or thereabouts. So if you want to think about the problems of Nigeria, I won't live here. So leave the problem of Nigeria, solve the one you can solve, be part of the one you can be part of. But the truth of the matter is that if those who do well are still punished, what is the hope for those who don't do well? If you're in a country where those who do have everything together, they still go through, what is your hope when you don't have anything? Then you just make yourself a prey. That's suicidal. That's harakiri. So you have to put things in place. It's very, very important. It's not cheap. It's not easy, but you just have to. And let me tell you something again. The advice behind what you want to register is even superior to what you want to register. The advice behind, the mindset behind it, how to approach it, how to attack it, is superior to what you want to go and register. The steps you want to, before you go to the law, when you write a book, do you know there's something in Nigeria called legal deposits with the National Library? How many people are aware of that? Do you know that that legal deposit is a document recognized all over the world, including United States of America? Do you know that when you take your book to the National Library and you deposit it there, they won't tell you there's a legal deposit, Yeah. Because the civil servant there, they are lazy. They don't want to do anything. They won't, when you are going, they won't say, come back, there's something. They will give you ISBN, all of that. They will collect the book from you. You are entitled to what they call legal deposit. Do you know that when you write your story, Nigeria is a country of 200 million people. So it means that your book is in the library, in the National Library of the nation, of 200 million people. Let's say 100 million people or thereabout, 50% of the nation are educated. So you are saying your book is exposed to 100 million people. That's what you are saying. And that is the truth. That is the truth. Now, with that legal deposit alone, do you know the statement you are making to the world? That legal deposit, I think they'll put your book in the National Library now. I don't think it will cost you 50,000 naira. But you have something, legal deposit. They will put the name on the letter paper of, and that document. Do you know, let me also tell you something you need to know. Do you know that anything from government is from one government is recognized by any government in the world? Anything that emanates from a government, even from a local government, if a local government gives you a letter, somebody in government gives you a letter, you collect something from the Nigerian government, your trademark, they see the logo of CAC, logo of Nigeria, they see that you have a trademark, they see that this is your book, there's a certificate for copyright. How much is the certificate of copyright? How much it is? If you're going to do that certificate, how much is it? Now, I love what Pastor Clement said. Most of the time, we look at the cost of doing things, which can be quantified. You don't look at the cost of not doing it. I'm so happy today with every step that I'm taking in my career. Keep documenting things. I keep documenting things privately and publicly. Some of the interviews I have gone for, they were not convenient. I was tired. I said, okay, let me go and do this interview. I'll still go there. I do interview back to back sometimes. I do newspaper. We did not know the value of all of these things we were doing until a time came when demand were placed on all of those things. And we now saw that we were sitting on gold. All these things we were doing, they were gold. All this interview, all this press release, that life page we issue, press release. This is the move we have made. We established something, Kilo Day, Emma Koraisa, what is the meaning? Don't do that. Rubbish.
Wow. This is incredible. I can just, I wish the time allotted was longer. I wish we started earlier, but this is not of incredible. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. I know the kind of commitment, when you know somebody's heart, just like I said, we've done quite a few things, projects together, and the way it takes the project is as its own project. So in fact, it can fight you on the matter that concerns you, can fight you. And that's how serious and meticulous to a fault, as in to the extreme, in my own opinion. But you can tell that this is from a genuine heart, genuine soul. And I deeply, deeply appreciate the opportunity of meeting you, the opportunity of the relationship, and all of that. He's a very, very, very busy man. Many of us may not recognize the treasure of having him on this call today. I was really, really looking forward to it. And I'm so glad that he made it. And this has made my day, honestly. For all of you who made it on this call, congratulations. And then you have all these contact details there. Please, you want to find direction. Don't joke with a man like this in your corner. That's the plain truth. Don't joke with him, right? So there are many. It's widely read. It's very deep. His knowledge is deep, wide, and high. So you'll be surprised that if you ask him questions in certain areas, you think it's only law. It's not only law, but he can apply the knowledge of law in every area. That's how in-depth he is. So I'm truly grateful for this opportunity. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for having me.
Thank you so much, sir.
Bye for now.
Stella, over to you. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Stella,
wow, what an insightful session. I'm sure we all learned Wimbies has been an amazing time for each and every one of us. If you've been joining us, you know that we have been well fed. Our first class, we had a convener speak to us on 5 systems your business must have to grow. And next, we had Paul Fo speak to us about how to sell anything to anyone. And next segment, we had Sam Adelusimo talk to us about tax saving strategies for your business. And today, we just concluded a session on lawpreneurship, bridging life, business, and law with Taiwo Akinlami. And you are all witnesses to the fact that we have all learned. If you know that you have learned and this session has been beneficial to you, I like to see your comments in the emoji. I like to see that energy, show some appreciation to our convener. It means that he really wants to see you win in business. And this is to remind us that this is WinBiz 2.0. We had 1.0 some months ago, I think in June. So you can do well to visit Oladipupo Clement to catch up with the replay. If you missed anything, I want to encourage us to catch up with the replay. And this is also to encourage us to take advantages of the opportunities that have been presented to us by these facilitators. Don't wait till 1 year's time or 9 months and say, excuse me, sir, I attended the class that time. Establish the connection now and build it continuously. Relationships are not developed in one day. So start connecting right now. And this is to remind us that we have the Financial Freedom Challenge coming up in 2024. And to participate in this, we need you to send the word challenge to 070-879-70441. This is also to encourage you to get books by our convener, the Financial Freedom Master Guide, amongst several others. So don't think that you've heard it all. In fact, you cannot hear it all. So ensure that you get his materials, follow him on various social media platforms, and I can assure you that you'll be doing yourself good. Now, one key lesson that we should take away from today's segment is, which would you prefer, the pain of regret or the pain of discipline? So ensure that you do what is right, learn everything, and not just learning or hearing. Apply and put to practice everything that we've heard this evening. And I can assure you that you would be grateful. We've heard of opportunities that we can harness. Do that press release. Don't say, oh, my business is small, nobody knows me. It's not necessary. It is very necessary, because very soon a demand will be placed on it. Register that copyright now. Do that trademark. Put your book, get a legal deposit for your book, because you never can tell how big that vision is going to be. And I hope that you've had a wonderful time. My dear convener, do you have any other information for us this evening?
That'll be all for now. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much, everyone. See you next week. Set your calendar. Tell your friend. Do not forget. Follow us on several social media platforms.
Don't miss.
If you think today was your best class, next week will be your bestest class. So don't miss it. We look forward to seeing you.
Next week, I promise you, it's going to be hot. For those of you already in business or who look forward to starting your own business, you certainly want to be generating revenue on autopilot, right? And that's what we'll be looking at. You want to scale your revenue. I mean, in an economy, global economy, where purchasing power is shrinking, the cost of goods and services are rising so rapidly, you need something that will help you scale on autopilot. That means with least effort, right? And that's what we'll be looking at next week. I still spoke with us. Our speaker is also in the United States, and I know what I'm talking about. Don't miss it. Bye for now, everyone. Thank you so much, Stella. God bless you all.